requested by Master Ragefire. Please ignore the dogs in the background. As requested by Master Ragefire and a couple other people in our group, I wanted to show my interpretation for Fool's Guard using a pole arm. Now, traditionally, Fool's Guard is here in front, but obviously you can tell with a pole arm that's not going to be feasible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the way that I've interpreted it, and whether it's actually Fool's Guard or not, I can't tell you. It's just sort of what I've seen and adapted from that. I'm not saying this is the best fighting style. What I'm saying is this is the fighting style that I use, and if you like it, you're more than welcome to. A few of the key hallmarks are you want to have a weapon that's well balanced. As you can see, this is balanced right here at the front handle. That allows you to be fast. In the three virtues of fighting from this style, you have speed at this distance, you have range, and then you also have torque. And hopefully we'll be able to show all three of those virtues with this fighting style. It's actually adapted from Chinese spear fighting, and then I was told that it's similar to a Germanic style, so take that for what it's worth. My lovely assistant Cody here usually is in garb, please forgive him. So he's going to be helping me out today, showing off basically the stance that you'd use to fight against somebody who fights sword and board, and then of course we'll go red, and then pole arms as well. So it might be about 20 minutes or so, but I'll do my best to go through and be thorough, but be quick. So the first thing that I want to show you is the actual stance. If you see, if I'm looking straight on, I have my lead foot forward with my lead hand squarely into my hip. My lagging hand is up here by my shoulder, and that foot is back. I'm kind of on my toes, and I'm in a little bit of a crouch. What that allows me to do is it allows me to shift my weight, and this front hand is a pivot hand, and this back hand is sort of the action hand. It's sort of like a boat grip if you were to row an oar, but one's up, one's down, as such. What this allows me to do is when I'm engaged with a sword and board fighter, if I'm at a distance, I can use my distance virtue and I can shoot legs. I can also double hand grip, throw this out, and then reel it back into this Fool's Guard. Because what ends up happening usually is when you throw a big shot, a lot of people will charge in to strike, and what this allows me to do is bring my pole back so that if he does throw a strike, I'm well protected here. And if he goes for my opposite side shoulder, I just bring this around in this way. So basically what I'm doing is I'm hiding behind my weapon. And a lot of times people, when they fight in sort of a power guard, they're at a disadvantage, because if he was to throw that same strike here, even if he was to throw it, see, like at my shoulder here, I'd have to move a lot more, and I might not be able to get my weapon out. And I have to move actually a lot more, and I'm moving a lot more mass with the head of my weapon up in the air, not to mention the likelihood of a head strike. So by having my weapon head down, I have, first and foremost, I have a way to slow his advance down this way. I also have something to hide behind here, and then also here. So if I wanted to switch from blocking on one side to blocking on the other, I simply step under, or I can pivot through. And just with the movement of one foot, I'm protecting my left side, my right side, my left side, my right side. And what it also does is it allows me to strike while I'm blocking. So if he throws that shot here, I can usually clip a leg, or if he's fast, I can still get a nice solid shot on a shield, because at this range, I have a lot of torque. I'm pushing with this hand and I'm pulling with this hand. So instead of having to push here where he'll have a lot of torque against me with a leverage, I have basically choked up on my weapon, and I can lean into this here so I can pin his shield to him. And that gives me a whole lot of other striking options. So basically, it's a very, very defensive stance, and because I use it aggressively, it keeps me well protected while I'm hitting people a lot. All right, so a lot of times, if you start sort of in a spear stance or a pike stance, I will a lot of times drop the tip of my weapon down, because people aren't expecting this. Plus, since the tip of my weapon is on shield side, he's not expecting what's about to come. Usually, one of my favorite combinations of strikes is a 3-strike combination where it's a rising shot to the bottom edge of the shield to bring his shield up in front of his face and to basically choke him up on it so he can't swing very well with his sword arm. So it comes 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you notice, when I hit his shield up, if I do it well enough, I can even get a hip shot out of it if he's not really well guarded down. If he is well guarded down, I'll hit up into his shield, and even if he decides to throw a shot from there, I'm still pretty well protected behind the edge of my weapon. And I can clip his arm, just simply by dropping my back hand. There's no upward motion here, because this is a headshot. This is a pretty steady arm shot. So if on the first swing I hit here, and he caves, it'll usually give me a stab shot. Otherwise, if I surprise him with it, I can usually get the shield up in front of his face, he can't see it, and then I can come through with a disguised kick, which means I'm kicking it basically into his face. Which, it's a very aggressive move. Make sure that you have good control over your kicks. But when you do it well, you basically flatten someone. Even if he blocks both of my hits with his shield, that means his shield is gone and he's staggering backwards as it comes 1, 2, 3. Then he's free game for the follow-up of a stab. Now, the other advantage to this is if we have a very aggressive shield fighter, if he comes rushing in after that first hit, I can usually keep my weapon in front of me. Or I can use this section in the middle of my polearm to check the shield. Also, from here, if he swings, I have my hand on weapon, I have my pommel. So if he swings low, I have my pommel here. And all that I've done is moved this hand from up to down. So, the other thing is if you have people that are very fast, you can usually step not directly towards them, but if you step off at an angle, use this part of your weapon, use the shaft part of your weapon to check their shield and then hit with a parting strike. So, there's a lot to be said for footwork with this. Obviously, you can't be slow, you have to learn how to dance. I've also had a lot of opportunities to take legs that people don't block just by throwing low shots, and as soon as somebody drops their shield, it usually comes a rising strike to the shield, or take this backhand around to the shoulder. And it comes around and down because I want to bring their shield down. What that would look like in a little bit quicker time is shoot low, 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 and then around here, and then back to fool's guard. So the other evasion that I have is if he comes in directly straight towards me, I can step here, and then I'm behind him with my pommel basically on his weapon, and then a parting shot is basically this or strike here. But many times when people go to swing, if I step through, if he goes to swing at my back, go ahead, swing at my back, I can usually get my weapon behind me in enough time that I can at least put it, I can at least get it back in front. Takes a little bit of practice, helps to be limber. So from here, there's actually quite a few strikes that people are not expecting. The rising strike to the shield is one. The other one is if you throw a heavy strike to the shield and to bait out a swing from the sword, and you come to the bottom edge of the arm. Obviously, if you don't have an omniglaive with 4 blades on it, it's important that you have edge control. But if he sees me cock back from here, and I go to swing, and I can loop around, so even if I hit his shield, I can still recoil back into fool's guard, and then as he throws his shot, come up from underneath. And if he's an honorable fighter and I hit his arm before he gets me, he'll take the arm and call late on his own shot. Go ahead. That scenario can also play out a little bit different if I don't want to leverage this arm around and drop my shield. If he goes and throws that shot, I can braze it up here, which also allows me, because I'm here, I can also push against his body using torque to move him out of the way. So if he's pressing against me, I can use the torque of my weapon. Obviously, if I'm at a distance from fool's guard, I can make it look like I'm very vulnerable here by throwing a big shot, and then my tip is down, I look very exposed as he comes in to throw a strike. I can at least block, if not counter strike and stab. So from here, you can also get very close to a person. So if we're online, and I want to really harass him, I can, starting from this position, I can wheel it around this way, or I go to shoot the leg, I can pull back and stab here. So basically just getting in and out of fool's guard it's going to give me a lot of opportunity. If I'm fighting a line, it looks like my weapon's I'm squared off with him, but it looks like my weapon's pointed somewhere else. So many times, I'll throw a spear strike at somebody else, and as he goes to throw a shot, I'll recoil back here, and then my weapon is behind him. I can get this shot from this low angle, or again, I can bring it up to the arm. So I know some of this looks kind of redundant, but the fact of the matter is, it might be. But I think different situations call for different strikes. So really, I think the beauty of this is the ability to block here. Go ahead and throw your shot. So if I can get this, and even if I don't catch him with that strike, go ahead and throw your strike again. Here, now I can clip the leg. So then he would be legged. Because with a pole arm, if I'm in close, most people, there we go. Most people don't know how to fight close from a pole arm because they get all choked up. Well, if you're in Fool's Guard, all you really have to do is keep your hand by your head. This is your anchor point down here. So even if somebody tries to bash into you, you have a really strong brace. You have this as a block. But also, it's a lot of really good leg shots. Even against the tower shield, you can get a couple of really good hits on the low part of their shield. And it'll usually, if it's a longer shield, it'll actually torque on their arm or their hand. If it's a punch shield, you can usually get a lot of torque because you're very far away from where they're holding the shield, which will give you a lot of openings, either for you or for another one of your teammates. So, if we have somebody who is very aggressive, go ahead and push hard. You can see I can change from one position to the next. And from here, I can push, step back into Fool's Guard, because he's going to be pushing against me. So one of the things I like to do with Fool's Guard is push, 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 pull, and snap. So I'm putting pressure on him so he feels he has to push, and I release and snap. So it goes pressure, 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 release, and snap. What that prevents you from doing is having a lot of this that people don't really count as a strike. Right? If I'm just putting pressure on it, say if I had a shorter weapon, or if I was fighting from this stance, I wouldn't have a lot of power or strength to lift up against gravity and then drop it back down on him. What I can do in Fool's Guard is, because this is basically a pendulum, I can push here, lean into it, and as soon as I release, he's going to start to fall forward. So his forward momentum plus the spring recoil of my weapon with the pendulum, this makes it much easier to swing. So what it allows me to do is push, 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 pull and snap. So if it's on a shield, he's going to take it as a red hit, and it's from no distance. Here, right? And of course that comes into body mechanics, and it's a lot easier to make sure that you're not cracking people in the head if you're here with your hands up. So I'm standing basically like this. Plus, while I'm dealing with the shield side, I have this to help me protect against any shots to the body. And in all honesty, go ahead and throw that low shot. All I have to do is use my positioning to basically reallocate his weapon. Most people that fight polearm don't want to be this close, but personally I fight very aggressive, so if I'm this close, it becomes a shove and a parting shot. So, and this keeps me safe, because if I was here and he did the same thing, go ahead and push in, now I'm tangled up. And my instinct is to drop my weapon straight into his head, which we know is a very, very bad thing. This is a no-no. Whereas if I'm here, he has that same press. I can snap at his legs all day long. Or even if I want to, go ahead, come in, push on it. Come in, here. If I can flip up, I can stab him. So hopefully that was on screen. Good. So those are some of the basics that we use, that I use all the time, especially when we're clashing. Fool's Guard is very, very good for blocking. Even if it's down low, a lot of people don't think that you have a good swing. So from here, leg shot that you J-hook into the arm, or right up into the shield. Stab, strike, strike, and then I'm right back to blocking. So turn this way, right there. All right, so if I'm here, low shot, and I can hook around, I can hook up and under, get this way, or I hit one to the shield, push, 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 pull and snap the leg. So now he's legged, and if I hit him good the first time, he's legged with one hit on his shield. So then I can come through, use my range use the virtue of my range here, and if he decides to lunge at me, all I have to do is go back into Fool's Guard, drop my tip down, block with a pommel, and strike over. That's another shot. Switch from stand there. That's another shot that people don't really see coming. It's basically a wrap shot. You have to be careful that you aim it right with anything else. But it comes here as the person comes through, block, and then strike here. And many times that's a passing shot as they're coming through. So it comes here, here, this way. It comes through on the back, which gives you a perfect windup for another one of these, which can either hit the opponent with a swing, or it pulls you up into this low guard, I guess, into a spear strike. So those are my basics that I use on a pretty regular basis. You want to switch to red sword?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have him switch out to a red sword, and I'll show you how it works against somebody who fights without a shield. The fact of the matter is that with Florentine, it works pretty well because you have a good chance to block back and forth with various shots. So, go ahead. So if we're in this position, one of the shots that most people do not expect is a rising shot to the arms. So all it really comes down to is from here, you drop this hand the same way that you hit the bottom edge of a shield. And if you don't connect, and because you're not moving this up, you're a lot safer if you don't connect with this one. Come here. So if he sees it and moves back in time, it still gives me the extra reach. So when I'm here, I see him squaring up, I might give him a little bit of my shoulder, make it look sexy for him. He comes this way, I can block all day long. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of events where I just stood just to see what I could do, and I blocked maybe 12, 13 red shots in a row, just simply by hiding behind my weapon. Now granted, the average red is a little bit slower than, say, a Florentine fighter would be, but the good news is, if in the middle of my blocking I see an opening as he pulls his sword back, I can ram this straight up in through the middle, and nobody's going to call light on that. So, and even if I just catch leg, even if I just graze him a little bit, obviously since I'm not pushing this hand up, I'm keeping it right here and I'm ready for the stab. Also, I've seen a lot of times, a lot of opportunities where somebody will take a big step forward with their leg, and as they step in, you can clip the outside, you can clip the inside, so if he take a step with that leg, from here, boom, this way. And look, I'm hitting him in the leg, which effectively puts him on the ground. So it effectively puts him on the ground, so then I have all my range in the world that I could ever want, which is usually the time I offer people a courtesy shot, so I don't kill them. But so even if we are fighting one-on-one, say, like, throw a stab. So from here, I can clear the stab shot, ride it up through the middle because I'm already under his arms. Now if you go, so stab here, center, so I can deflect this off, and without exposing myself, I can bring this up and back to him, right? Here. Now, go ahead. So say you handle block my reverse shot. This reverse shot. So now he'll go for my back. So all I have to do is step through. I'm here. Now I have my pommel over his crossed hands. I pull this away, and I can back shot there. Step out and away. Obviously, of course, that all has to happen at the speed of battle. But those options are available. So if he goes for, like, say, a 12 o'clock shot, go ahead. I'm here. I have two options. Either clear, or I can come across this way and usually catch body. If he's fast and I'm concerned about him hitting me, I can always come up and clip an arm or shoot a leg. Or the groin. It's a very good spot to hit people. Hit everybody you can directly in the groin. Also, safety first, cup up. I will hit you in the groin. So,
Or just be fast enough that he can't hit you.
thanks. The other thing, a lot of times people will try to circle around. So if you circle this way, I pivot. And while I'm pivoting, I don't leave much available to hit because I'm pretty much standing behind my weapon. So if you circle, I can hit this way. And because I have a pole arm, I can usually have a lot more torque on somebody's weapon than they can handle. So that's also helpful. If I was to push and he was to handle block, I could torque, and then from here, I can stab. or I can push, 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 pull and snap. That can be in any direction. So you lay pressure, 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 release, and come back for the hit. And sometimes that's a swipe, sometimes that's a stab. But from Fool's Guard, or at least that's what I'm calling this, I have a high degree of capacity to block with. You want to demonstrate Florentine?
I'm not the best.
You want to demonstrate Florentine?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cody. Yep. Oh, by the way, Rob Haas, for order. Rob Haas, the Juggernaut. All right, so this is Tranus. Tarnus, damn it. All right, so we have a Florentine fighter. Most guys will start either parallel or A-frame. And in this situation, what it allows me to do is it allows me to strike at one side and still have the capacity to block the other. If he decides to throw both shots at once, I have to be creative in my maneuverability. And usually I can get one block and then a parting shot, whether it's to the arm, to the body, to the leg, whether it's a swing or a stab. Obviously, he's going to be more protective of the arm where my weapon is. So what I like to do personally is I like to take a retreating step and swing past, so he feels like he has a good opportunity, give him a parting shot as I'm moving backwards. That being said, his two weapons to my one means I have to be fast. So the other thing that's really nice about this is if I come up, and even if he blocks to the outside this way, I have a lot more leverage than he does. So many times, even if I can't move him, say this man is a solid brick and I am not, I can push against him and step through. I can step out of his range and still leave my weapon in his way this way. And I can, of course, be behind it. Now, that's, so any other advances that you'd use in Florentine?
Step forward, top.
Okay.
So that's a really common one, especially on someone in that guard. They're going to come over and top.
Right.
Or top.
Right. Okay. So basically, in Fool's Guard, what I would do is if he throws a low, high, my hope is to get behind this, or as he throws that first strike, to bring it across. So then I'm moving out of, I'm doing more of an evasion, which I have to be careful not to slip to the head. But from Fool's Guard, it looks like I'm open here. I can come across and pull it into his body. And even if he moves back, I still have leverage on his sword arm. So even if we're just like this and no contact with blade to body is made, I still have a lot of pressure. The other thing that's really nice about Fool's Guard is if you're fast and accurate, you can usually strike someone's pommel and disarm them, especially when they don't expect it. Sort of the equivalent of that shield strike. Boom, boom. Because obviously we're not kicking him.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
And not allowed in the rules.
So, a lot of times when somebody fights Florentine, from this guard, I will actually look to clip this hand. And many times, even if they punch block it, I can still usually power through and get a good stab. But you have to be quick because they're going to be throwing that other sword really fast.
The other style you'll see is this one will come up a lot more.
Sure.
A lot more down. It's a lot easier for you to block.
Yeah. So, and the other thing too is, I don't leave open a lot of leg shots, and if I want to bait out here, I can offer this leg shot and come up to the arm, which not only gets the arm, but also prevents him from swinging through completely. There's been times in battle where I'll hit somebody this way and pull their arm across here. So you can use this to manipulate your opponent, and especially from a low strike. Obviously you have a leg strike, be careful of the knees, but you have a low strike this way as you're parting back. And it looks kind of like I'm waddling, but in real motion, it would be a jump, and I'm still maintaining this stance. So be cautious of this. You will get, when you get really good at blocking a lot of things, people will get upset with you because they genuinely feel like they should be hitting you more than they are. But that being the case, just get good at it, and be sure to call shaft a lot, because that's basically what you're doing, using this part of your weapon as the blade, this part of the weapon as your shield, and then obviously to move and manipulate people through space. It's pretty much all I got on Fool's Guard. Thanks for watching.